Today's video is all about flamingos. Flamingos are really funky birds. They love being sociable and thrive in flocks. They don't do well on their own. The biggest flock known has 1 million members and is in East Africa. In the wild, flamingos can be found in Florida, Central and South America, and also in some parts of Africa. A group of flamingos is called a flamboyance, and they're very famous for their pink colour. They can also be found in crimson, red, orange and white if their diet is being supplemented, or cream. The pigment comes from their diet. They eat algae and tiny shellfish that are rich in carotenoids. If they ate a different diet, they'd lose their colour, and that's actually the same pigment that you find in carrots. Believe it or not, if all we ever ate was carrots, we'd be pretty orangey in colour. Flamingos' feathers are actually black underneath, but you can only see this when they're flying. Flamingos have a funny old body shape, and they have 19 elongated cervical vertebrae, so their neck can move in pretty cool shapes, which means when they drink, they can put their heads upside down in the water to have a guzzle. Flamingos are famous for being able to stand on one leg. They can actually do this for up to 4 hours and find it easier to stand on one leg than on two. It's actually physiologically easier for them to do this. The way their legs work means that they can't rest all of their weight on one side without having to use their muscles to maintain balance. So it's easier and lazier for them to stand on one leg. And they can actually be 4 or 5 feet in height, which is probably taller than lots of you watching. Yet they don't weigh very much, only 2 to 3 kilograms, which is what makes them so good at flying. People often don't realise that flamingos fly, but they can actually fly 100 miles a day for the sake of finding food. And they take off really quickly and can reach speeds of 35 miles per hour. Flamingos generally live near swamps, wetlands and freshwater areas, but they can live in hot or cold climates, even mountain locations. They have filters in their beak, which means that when they eat, they can put their head into mud at the bottom of a lake and then shake the surface up and then filter out anything they don't want to take in. They do this with the help of their tongues. Flamingos like fresh water, and they can even drink from boiling geysers. That's really hot. The water there's nearly at boiling point. Flamingos lay 1 egg a year. They can live for up to 30 to 50 years. They make nests from mud. Some flamingos can steal other flamingos' nests because it's easier than making your own. So they have to make sure that they protect them. When the baby hatches, mum and dad both look after it, and both have the ability to make crop milk in their digestive tract to feed their young. The chicks will stay in the nest for about 3 weeks before getting out and joining the rest of the flamboyants. When flamingos mate, they do an elaborate kind of dance ritual, a bit like the flamingo flamenco. This can be done in massive groups where they can choose who they want to mate with. What magical birds, and they feature in today's book reading, which is from The Magical Kingdom of Birds, The Flamingo Party by Anne Booth. Chapter 1. It was Sunday afternoon. Maya and her friends Theo and Saffron had all gone swimming together and were having hot chocolate back at Maya's house. Maya loved going swimming with her friends, and they were all feeling happily tired and laughing about lots of things together. Mum and Dad have invited Alicia and her parents over for dinner tonight, said Saffron as she squirted cream on her hot chocolate. They want to talk to them about starting a carnival in our town with a big musical parade with decorated floats and dancing. Alicia's mum was talking to my mum at ballet about it. Apparently they organised one every year in the town they used to live in. A carnival parade sounds such fun, said Maya. I've seen decorated floats and carnival costumes. Here, Dad says we can each have a chocolate fake to put in the cream. Theo took a big slurp of his hot chocolate and ended up with a dollop of cream on his nose, which made them laugh. Maya took a noisy slurp of hers and got a dollop on her nose too. They both looked very funny. Honestly, you two, laughed Saffron, who was being very neat and using a spoon. Is Alicia the new girl in your class, the one you like so much, Saffron? asked Theo, squirting more cream on his hot chocolate and letting Maya put a chocolate flake in his drink too. We all like her, don't we, Maya? Said Saffron. Alicia is so friendly and smiley. I see her at ballet and she is so good. Alicia is good at everything, really. I bet she isn't as good as Maya at swimming and horse riding, said Theo loyally. Well, anyway, I thought that maybe you could come over after dinner and see her photographs of the carnival, Maya. Alicia danced at the front of the procession in her town's carnival, and she said her costume was amazing. I bet she looked beautiful. Do you want to come over and see her pictures, Maya? No, I'm a bit too tired, said Maya, suddenly feeling a bit miserable. Oh, that's a shame, Saffron said, disappointed. I thought it would be nice for Alicia to get to know you, and I told her I was sure you would love to see her photos and would have brilliant ideas for what we could do for the carnival. She's so nice, Maya. I've been talking to her at ballet, and I think she could be a real best friend for us. I don't want another best friend, thought Maya. She didn't want to share Saffron with anyone else. If Alicia was so friendly and pretty and good at everything, what if Saffron decided she preferred Alicia? I can't dance like Alicia, said Maya. Dancing isn't the only thing people do in a carnival anyway, said Saffron. There's lots of music and floats and costumes too. That's what I want us to plan, not dancing. Come on, Maya. It's hard being a new girl. You were so nice to me and Theo when we moved here. Why can't you be nice to Alicia? Sorry, I haven't got time to come over later, said Maya grumpily, not answering Saffron's question. They were in her room and Saffron looked around at it all. The bird books and pictures and the binoculars and satchel over her chair. Well, I don't know what you're doing, but if you finish early, please come over tonight, Maya. I really want us all to be friends. I told Alicia you'll have brilliant ideas for our costumes and our float. What about two's company, three's a crowd, muttered Maya. What about the Three Musketeers? All for one and one for all, said Saffron crossly. And you never say that when Theo, you and I do things. That's different, said Maya. I don't think it is. I think you're just being mean and silly, snapped Saffron, which was very unlike her. She was normally such a kind, encouraging person. I'll let myself out, said Saffron. Come on, Theo. Maya didn't bother to wheel herself down the corridor to say goodbye. Maya heard the front door shut and suddenly felt really miserable. Lauren, her big sister, was away at university, and Penny, her stepmother, and her dad were planning to watch a boring television programme after dinner, all about buying houses. It would have been fun to have gone over to play with Saffron and Theo. Why did Alicia have to move here and spoil everything? Saffron is my best friend. She likes me best, said Maya. She tried not to think about Saffron and Alicia having fun together without her, planning that silly carnival. Felt hot, prickly tears rise up in her eyes. She blinked them away angrily. Maya looked out at the garden to see if there were any birds to cheer her up. It was spring and she loved seeing all the busy birds, gathering things for their nests. Suddenly she saw a flash of black and white and her spirits lifted. It was a magpie. Maybe it was a sign that she should open her satchel and get out the special colouring book her mum had left her before she died. Nobody knew, but the colouring book and the pencils which came with it were magic. And if a newer picture appeared in it and Maya coloured it in, she would immediately be taken to the magical kingdom of birds to have an adventure with her dear friends Willow, a fairy princess, and Patch, a talking magpie. Chapter 3. It wasn't long before they saw the turrets of the castle in the distance and forests and mountains behind it. As they got closer, they heard a hubbub and saw a huge crowd of pale pink flamingos walking in the lake, their reflections in the blue lake, pale pink as well. It looked pretty, but the flamingos didn't seem very happy. They were dipping their heads in the water and lifting them up again and shaking them. What's happening? Asked Idris as they flew down low above them. Why are you so pale? There is no food in the lake for us to eat, said one. Blaze and Rose have gone to complain. We are getting paler and weaker by the minute. They flew on to the shore where they found Lord Astor arguing with a very old flamingo and a tall, elegant boy fairy dressed in pink. It is Blaze, the flamingo fairy, and Rose, the oldest flamingo of all, Willow said, flying next to Maya and Patch and Oscar. Uncle, cried Willow, flying in and standing, hands on hips in front of Lord Astor. What are you doing? Niece, I'm glad you are here, said Lord Astor. I'm having a carnival. The best carnival ever. I've summoned birds here from all over the country, and I'm going to be the carnival king. The flamingos have given me their best pink feathers, and my guards are making a magnificent headdress for me. It will be so much better than your silly feathered cloak was." "Princess Willow," said Blaze, bowing low, "the flamingos only agreed to take part in the carnival because they thought it was for you, and they only gave him feathers because he has locked up their children in the castle. He says he won't let them out until he is wearing the carnival headdress." "Uncle," said Willow, shocked, "I could never imagine a true ruler of the magical kingdom of birds doing this," said Rose. "What?" said Lord Astor, sulkily. "I have laid on an amazing party for them in the castle. They have jellies and cake and ice cream and pink wafer biscuits. They can come out when my headdress is ready. I don't want their parents to fly away in case I need more feathers. But the guards have told me they've finished my headdress anyway, so you can stop fussing, niece." He clapped his hands and the guards brought out a huge headdress. It wasn't pink, but a greyish white. "What?" screamed Lord Astor, his face red with fury. "How dare you? I gave you pink flamingo feathers." "It wasn't our fault. They turned grey when we made the headdress," said the bravest guard. "You will be punished for this," shouted Lord Astor. "I will never let your young flamingos go." The pale flamingos, hearing this, started swaying and honking in distress, and Blaze and Rose and Idris and Vanessa rushed to be with them. Princess Willow was angrier than Maya had ever seen her. "Stop this right now," she shouted. "How can you be so ignorant, Uncle? Of course the flamingo feathers in the headdress aren't pink. They are only pink when they are on the flamingos' bodies, because they get the colour from brine shrimp or the algae they eat in the lakes. Look how pale and weak they are getting, because you lied to them about the palace lake being full of food. And how could you give the baby flamingos the wrong food? That could make them very, very ill. Let me in immediately. Fairy gods, stand aside. You should be ashamed of yourself, Uncle. You have done bad things in the past, but I think this is the worst. You are a very bad fairy." She glared so hard at her uncle, he looked a bit scared. He sulkily nodded, and the fairy gods opened the doors to the dining hall where the party had been laid out. They all rushed in. There were bright balloons and streamers and big party banners saying "Astor is the best" and "Astor is amazing" on the walls. But the scene was very miserable. The baby flamingos were gathered together in a corner and looked very sick and scared. "It's my friend Belinda." Oscar rushed towards the two little flamingos who were looking very sorry for themselves. "We don't like the cake, Oscar. We don't like this party. We want our mummies and daddies," Belinda cried. "Of course you do," soothed Willow. "Don't worry. I'm so glad you didn't eat much. We'll have you out of here in no time. Fairy gods, help these poor little things out and bring them back to their parents. I've never heard of fairies from the magical kingdom of birds feeding such dangerous stuff to birds before. You should all be ashamed of yourselves." The fairy gods, who did look very ashamed now, helped Willow, Maya, Patch and Oscar bring all the young flamingos out into the sun. But as they led the last ones out, there were lots of splashing noises, one after the other, and everyone watched appalled as the adult pink flamingos started fainting, one after the other, into the shallow, clear water of the palace lake. What will happen to the poor flamingos? Will Maya and the gang save the day? You'll have to read the book to find out. Wowzers! Imagine having a colouring book that transported you somewhere magical whenever you coloured in a new picture in it. That would be super cool. It's time now to transport ourselves into getting creative mode. Staying on the flamingo theme, I thought it might be fun for us to make a little flamingo puppet. It's pretty easy to make, and you don't have to make a flamingo at all. It could be any bird you want, but I'm going to stick with flamingos. So that means everything I'm going to use is going to be a pink colour, but if you don't have pink, or if you want to make another bird, then just let your imagination run riot. So first up, we're going to make the body of the bird. So I've just got a bit of tissue paper, or that sort of packing paper that you get. And what you need to do is mould it into the shape you want your bird's body to be, and it only needs to be rough. So flamingos have a sort of pointed end where the sort of tail feathers are. So that's what I've done there. And then I've just left it a bit more ball-like here. And that is more or less going to be my flamingo's body. So next up, I'm going to tape that shape into place. But next, you need to cut out 2 half heart shapes like this, or whatever shape you want the body of your bird to be. And now I'm going to stick that on each side of my tissue paper. And if you don't have felt like this pink felt that I've got here, you could cut it out of light pink cardboard or light pink paper or just normal paper and colour it in pink. So I've stuck my 2 heart shapes on either side of my tissue, and any sticky out bits you can snip off and glue or tape to keep the tissue paper in place. So there we go, I've cut off the sticky outy bits. And now you can either colour this in with pink felt pen or pink paint or whatever colour you're choosing, or I've got these rather cool feathers, so I'm going to stick them on, and then we're ready to do the legs, neck and head. So now I've got my flamingo's body, and you can as well, I should say, make this body out of modelling clay or something for the base, or even just cut some polystyrene or thick cardboard and layer it up, cut it to size, whatever you've got kicking about to make the body. And then, as I say, cover it with pink on both sides or whatever you want, whatever colour for your body. And then if you don't have a feather to put along the top, you can just paint your body or make little feathers out of paper to stick on, decorate however you want. Now next up, we're going to make the legs and the head. Now you can use any string or you could use wool. I've got this cord which came off a shopping bag, like a paper carrier bag, and you need to cut a length for the neck and 2 lengths for your legs, so however long you want your neck and legs to be. So I have got 2 legs here and a neck, and next you have to fix it on. Now you can either do that using strong glue, or you can sew it if you know how to sew. But get a grown-up to maybe help you with this part, because it could be tricky. I'm going to have a go at sewing mine on because I don't have any glue that will hold it. So I have sewed my flamingo's legs on and also the neck, and now we're ready to make the head. And all the unsightly bits we can cover up. As we know, flamingos have black feathers on the underside, and then I'm ready to make my flamingo's head. Now you can either draw each side of the head on some card, or if you wanted, you could use something like a pink pom-pom and googly eyes. So here are the 2 heads. I've done the top part of the beak white, which extends to the eye area, and then the tip is in black. So I can now stick that on. My flamingo has a head. Now what I need to do is get 2 sticks for the bit that will control my flamingo. So here you can see I've got 2 sticks which I've tied together. You can do it with string, or I've just done it with a little piece of wire. Now next what I'm going to do is get some cotton and attach 4 pieces to each of the 4 sides of my stick, and then the 4 ends will go 1 to the head, 1 to the body, and 1 to each leg. So here I have my finished dancing flamingo. If you adjust the strings about as well, you'll be able to make your flamingo's joints at different places. For instance, if I tied the string along here, then I could have more of an ankle joint rather than the knee joint that's up there. And you could put a string on the middle of the neck even, and just have a play about. Hope you enjoyed making your puppet and hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe and spread the word.
Bye, see you next time.